Shotgun to shotgun.
So we're gonna get this ball moving then. So my presentation is race first, cinnamon blackness for African sovereignty. I think that's very important for us to forever be focused and thinking in terms of our sovereignty as a people. So get through this brief introduction. My name is Imhotep Fatiu. I'm the founder and minister of operations of PLM, which is the Pan-African Liberation Movement. And this is our website right here. You can always go to the website and get more information about who I am and what it is that I do. So I like to do this at the very beginning. I'm doing a presentation on race first, but it's not a presentation on the book. And I put the book here to just let individuals know who may not have heard of the book that when I say race first, I'm not necessarily saying anything original. I'm actually saying race first based on the work of Dr. Tony Martin. So Dr. Tony Martin, he did a thorough in-depth analysis, a survey of Marcus Garvey's movement. And what he determined is that Garvey essentially had a race-first movement. And so what I decided to do about 90 days ago is I felt like in terms of all the things that are taking place in the world today as it pertains to Black people, and listening to the momentum that Black Lives Matter was getting, and then being on the ground and talking to other people who wanted entry into the movement, but it appeared as if the only entryway into the movement was Black Lives Matter. And so I said, no, it got to be something better than that. It got to be. So I said, race first. Race first. So for me, the movement at this juncture, at least at this juncture, in terms of what's happening to Black people, is a race first movement for all of us. So that's why I'm saying race first. So before I get into that, let's look at this piece right here. It's called Redefining the Terms of Battle. So I'm gonna read these quotes. The first one says, race is a social concept. It's not a scientific one. That's Craig Venter. Race is a social construct. It's a human invented classification system. Sarah McAfee. Race is not biological. It is a social construct. There is no gene or cluster of genes common to all Blacks or all whites. Angela Onwuachi Willing. Lastly, race is not a biological reality. It's a social construct. Jill Richardson. So why am I putting that there? I put this here because since I've been saying race first, many Blacks have stood forth and came forward to say, well, race is a social construct, race doesn't exist. And they're saying this based on what the white people, what the white scientists and the white anthropologists began to say. So they started saying it. So my position is that I want to put this up front for anyone who may subscribe to this belief, because I'm gonna debunk this. I'm gonna debunk this. So keep that in mind. I don't believe none of this right here. So I want to look at Dr. Wade Nobles. This is what he says. His definition of power. Power is the ability to define reality and to have others respond to your definition as if it were their own. All right? I'll read it again. The ability to define reality and have others respond to your definition as if it were their own. Dr. Wade Nobles, a prominent African-centered, I don't want to say psychologist, but also I say psychoist. You know, his thing is building psychoist. The ability to understand the soul and the spirit of African people and to touch that spirit and to illuminate that spirit. That's what he specializes in. But I wanted to say this right here because if you look at this back here, this is white people. redefining the battle terms again. 150 years ago, they never would have said this, because they were using race 150 years ago to justify the barbaric treatment against our people. 150 years ago, they used race to justify everything that they've done. 150 years ago, they was measuring our craniums on the basis of race. 150 years ago, race was the determining factor in their lives. But it was more vocal. It was very vocal. So we're not going to allow them to define for us how we're going to proceed. Granted, they will say that it's a social construct. They will say that it doesn't have any reality, because they don't want us to use it. They don't want us to ban around race. So as long as we allow ourselves to believe their definitions and give them the power to define reality, because they're not the almighty see all be all. They're just a minority, insecure group of people that's in the world. So we can't allow them to define for us what is and what isn't. So I wanted to start here with those definitions, and then go ahead to Dr. Wade Nobles. And these are just some of his books. Seeking the Saku, African Psychology, The Island of Mean, Afrikan and the Black Family. He has about 2 other books on the Black family that are very good books as well. So I'm rooting for everybody Black. That's what's on that shirt. Race first. This is what the Honorable Marcus Garvey gave us. He said that we believe in the supreme authority of our race in all things racial. Now that's Article 2 of the Declaration of Rights of the Negro Peoples of the World. That's Article 2. And that's what Garvey said. He said that we believe in the supreme authority of our race in all things racial. There's not a single incident, there's not a single engagement, there's not a single activity wherein we are in any form of proximity with other people that's not racial, primarily white people. Our basic reality is feminine and race. So we have to be able to acknowledge that and accept it and hold on to it. So it's race first, is how we have to be thinking. Marcus Garvey says this: be proud of your race, today as our fathers were in the days of yore. We have a beautiful history, and we shall create another in the future that will astonish the world. And that's the philosophy and opinions of Marcus Garvey on page 7. So he's speaking to us then and now about the need to be proud of who we are in our race, to embrace our race. Because within our race are all things necessary to who we are as a people. Marcus Garvey again, he said, now we have reached the point where the entire race must get together. Whether we are light, yellow, black, or whatnot, there is but one thing for us to do, and that is to get together and build up a race. The philosophy and opinions of Marcus Garvey, page 60. So that's the need for race first. In spite of what's happening right now, in spite of all our minor differences that we have to band together around this blackness that we have. And I like to be transparent. I'm gonna share briefly a part of my story. So in 1989, I was shot. I used to be in the streets. So in 1989, I got shot. I was shot 2 times in my back. I knew who shot me. I knew the guys who shot me, but they shot me with the intent to kill me. However, I ended up paralyzed. I was paralyzed for like 18 months. And to this day, I still carry a 45 slug on my spinal cord, and I'm partially paralyzed in my right foot. But I did regain the ability to walk, but not 100%. So my right foot, I'm still partially paralyzed. So in 1989, they shot me, left me laying on the ground. I felt the blood, felt my life leave my body, and all those things, right? All those different thoughts going through my mind. 9 years later, 1998, I ran down on one of those guys. I caught the guy. 9 years, but I caught him 9 years. He was shot. Everybody who knew about the situation, they were shot. They didn't know what I was going to do. But I squashed that beef. So I got shot in 1989, 1998, I squashed that beef. I looked that brother in his eyes and I say, listen, brother, what we did back then, we're gonna leave it back then. I'm on a bigger mission right now. I'm not in the business of hurting us. I don't have to hurt us. You know, we never took place, you know what I'm saying? I've done some things, you've done some things, it is what it is. But I gotta squash it, my brother. So let me know how you want to carry it. Because I'm not gonna walk around this world looking over my back. So if we need to finish this thing and one of us gotta go, then let me know right now. But I'm telling you my position. My position is that I'm done with it. That brother put his head down and he looked up teary-eyed. And the brother said, I'm okay with that, man. And we ain't had no beef since. And so now looking at, now come to 2020. Look what's happening to us in the world. Everywhere you turn, we are being slaughtered. Everywhere you turn, we are being slaughtered. We do not have the luxury to have these minor beasts. When I say minor beasts, I'm talking about the ones that does not originate from anything that's serious. I'm saying the petty beasts, we got to put it behind us. It's time for us to come together. That's what Marcus Garvey was talking about. Race first. Put the race first, not the petty beasts. Put the race first. Put the survival of the race first. And let's get this ball moving. So I wanted to share a little bit of my story so you can be clear on who I am and where I'm at and why I say the things that I say. Because everything that comes out of my mouth, I'm 100% serious about it because I done been on the other side. And when I was in the streets, I gave the streets 100%. I gave it 100%. I didn't have step. That's the reason why they felt the need to try to take me out this world. I wasn't half step when I was out there. So I'm not gonna half step when I'm trying to save us. The petty beasts, we gotta get rid of them. What is race first? This is my definition. Thought and behavior that places the social, political, and economic interests, spiritual well-being, and overall material survival of the Black race first. That's what I'm saying we need to do. Don't apologize for that. Don't explain it. Just do it. All of us need to just do that. Wherever we find ourselves at, whatever circles we are in, whatever groups we are in, we have to come to that group with a race-first mentality. When you sit down to do business with anybody, you got to have a race-first mentality. You have to be thinking about your race first. When we all start thinking this way, the energy that we will generate will be non-stoppable. It'll be as if we had just created a social atomic bomb. When we all start thinking like, I'm placing my people first. I like to use this scenario right here. Many individuals have different like sports games that they like to watch. They got basketball teams they like, they have football teams that they like, they have baseball teams that they like. But if you ask the average person that like one of these teams that on some occasions may bet money on these teams, if you was to ask them like name everybody affiliated with that organization, I can guarantee they don't know. But yet they root for that team like nothing else. And they'll argue over that team. They root for the Lakers like they know everybody on the Lakers. And they'll argue about the Lakers. But you don't know everybody on the Lakers. You don't know all the general managers. You don't know all the angel investors and all of that to the Lakers. But you're going to argue for the Lakers. You'll argue for the Cavaliers or Dallas Cowboys or the Pittsburgh. You know what I'm saying? So I'm saying we need to root for Black people the same way. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying root for your people the same way. You betting on the Steelers. You don't know all those damn Steelers. So bet on us. Get behind Black. When we all get behind Black, we can change the conditions. That's what I'm saying. That's my position. Race first. Nothing else. Nothing goes before Black people. I don't want no white woman, no Puerto Rican woman. I want a Black woman. Because everybody that's not Black don't rock with Black. And we know that. Look at our history. We know that. Look at what's taking place down in Haiti now. In the Dominican Republic and in I-80. You know what I'm saying? You see what's happening? Come on now. We got to get it together, Black man and Black woman. Put us first. This is the time. This is the time for that. So race first. First thing I'm saying is this, the socialization of race first. I'm saying, how is it socialized? I'm saying the Black race becomes the central theme and the driving dynamic around which the race is socialized. Everything about us needs to revolve around being Black, right? rearing and educating Black people to understand the primacy of the Black race in all things concerning human interaction and engagement. And so we know the areas that Dr. Welsing gave us, you know, since he named the 9 areas, right? You know, so I'm saying that in all those areas, Black has to be in the center, and everything moves around it. Not speaking like, well, we got to stop saying this right here. Black and brown people, Black people, people of color. No, Black people. You know, we got to be very definitive. Very definitive. Because I'm going to tell you something about white people. White people are very definitive. They have structuralized and institutionalized the importance of whiteness. All you got to do is travel throughout the USA, you will see it. Pick up a magazine, go inside one of their educational institutions, go in their libraries, go inside their hospitals. You'll see who they got first. So we got to understand that we have to place us first. And I'm saying that the socialization of race first is that we become the central theme in the dramatic dynamic around which the race is socialized. The economics of race first. The organized accumulation, distribution, and expending of Black resources, financial, real estate, and otherwise, to advance the best interests and promote the overall well-being of the Black race. That's how we have to be thinking. You know, so when I say the accumulation, we shouldn't be out here trying to just become a billionaire thinking about ourselves. And that's the reason why we got people that has large sums of money and we still struggling. Because you lose yourself, right? I'm saying that as we raise our children, we shouldn't raise our children to be millionaires. We should raise our children to think about how they can become race wealthy people. Racial wealth. We don't want to inadvertently instill individualism into children because they grow up and go off and do their own thing and never come back. And what happens? Another generation of people is having these types of conversations right here. Because these conversations aren't new. You know, you go back 50 years ago, we was having this conversation. 50 years before that, we was having this conversation. Right? We still talking about Pan-Africanism in 2020 and go back and look at what they was talking about in the 1800s. It was called the immigrationist movement. They was the immigration, so the Pan-Africanists that came out in the early 1900s grew out of the immigrationist movements. They were saying the same thing, right? So we almost 100 and something years in the future, and we still in the same conversation because we have to institutionalize what it means to be Black. And everything that we do has to have Black in it. This is how you get it inside people. Because once we get it inside people, we can begin to reproduce it within our children. But we have to institutionalize what it means to be Black. And yes, I am using Black interchangeably with African. I use it interchangeably. But I'm saying Black now because what I've realized in my years of doing this work, because I've been doing this work since 1993, 27 years. And I'm the type of brother that like to go on the street corners. The brothers and sisters on the street corners, oftentimes when we say Africa, we go over their head. We miss the ones on the street corner, but they can relate to Black. So that's why I'm taking back the Black. So I can talk to my brothers and sisters about Africa, no doubt. But at the same time, I want to reach the ones that we aren't always reaching. You know, the ones that still understand what it means to be Black on some basic level. So that's why I'm saying Black, but I do use it interchangeably for those who may be wondering. Because I know some of us, you know, we bought into a lot of different ideologies. We say, oh man, he's saying Black. Man, Black means death, you see what I'm saying? According to science, Black means death. Now, according to whose science? The white man's science? Simple as that. You know what I'm saying? Who gives them the authority to define every damn thing? You know what I'm saying? I can give a damn about what they say. Yeah, I'm not worried about what they say. You know what I'm saying? Black according to science, that's what they say. If you understand what our ancestors said Black is the essence out of which all things come. Black is the essence that gives birth to all things. If you eliminate Black, everything else has to go. You can eliminate anything else, right? And it stands, everything else stay around. Delete the black man and the black woman and see if you got a Chinese man. You can't get that without us. You can't get none of that without us, right? So the hell what they say about black according to science means death. No, we're gonna go back to how our ancestors understood it. Black is the essence of all thing in existence. It's the beautiful thing, right? Black is that thing that light needs to be. Without black, you can't get light. So we're not letting them define anything for us. Those days are over with. We're gonna define for ourselves. That's my position. So I'm saying black and I'm saying race first. The politics of race first. Developing and executing a political agenda that represents the best interests and promotes the advancement of the black race. A political agenda that seeks to protect the cultural integrity and secure the material survival of the black race. Now, for those who heard the word political, we automatically start thinking about electoral politics. So I don't want to think that's what I'm saying. Essentially, what it means to be political is to have a heightened awareness of what it means to be a part of a group. To be political is to have a heightened awareness of what it means to be a part of a group. To be political is to be group-oriented. It's group interests. Now, electoral politics is one form through which you execute your politics. But electoral politics doesn't encompass what it means to be political, right? Same way people say, well, I'm an advocacy organization or I'm a grassroots organization. Those are just different forms through which your politics are executed, right? So now if I am a politician and I have a race first mentality, when I sit down to negotiate with my colleagues in that arena, my agenda will be a black agenda. Because the only reason you go into electoral politics is to access the powers or the resources there to benefit your group. That's the basis of it. So at the base of politics is group interests. So to understand what I'm saying, so to develop and execute a political agenda that represents the best interests and promotes the advancement of the black race, a group, a political agenda that seeks to protect the cultural integrity and secure the material survival of the black race, a group. This is the basis of what we're trying to do. Get to the understanding of us as a group, a national group, and all that we do is in defense, protection, and promotion of that group. That's what it's about, and this is how we gotta rear our children. So, race consciousness is indispensable to African sovereignty. And African sovereignty is what we are seeking to achieve. Achieving it will require the correct consciousness to direct the correct motion. That is, motion towards African sovereignty. This is our ultimate objective. Now, the reason this is here, and I want us to understand, is that when I say race first, I'm not saying anything in contradiction of Bibi Fahodier. They go in alignment. But what I came to realize is that before people really think about an African nation, they have to understand themselves at a basic racial level. If we don't understand ourselves at a basic racial level, we're not going to advocate, fight for, or push for a sovereign African nation. So race first becomes a stepping stone in this process. It becomes a part of the process of awakening people up to the necessity of African sovereignty. And I wanted to be clear that the ultimate objective of all the work that we do is African sovereignty. Because sometimes we can get stuck and we think that our work is just about trying to build black businesses. Building black businesses are only tactics, a part of a strategy leading towards African sovereignty. Building black businesses is not the end all be all. Building black institutions in the United States of America is not the end all be all. Those are just some basic tactics that we can use to advance a strategy that can get us towards African sovereignty. So we have to forever be clear that the ultimate objective is African sovereignty. Because some of us get stuck just at opening up black businesses. We need black businesses, and I'm not speaking against black businesses. I want to be very clear. I am saying that if we had 1 billion black businesses in the USA, right, we would fundamentally still have the same problem. That's the point that I'm making. I'm saying our problem changes when we put ourselves in a position to change the problem, right? By organizing and solidifying ourselves as a nation and building up national power, sovereign power. This is how we would change our position. 1 billion businesses is not going to change it. Granted, we would have 1 billion businesses, black businesses, that probably could, employ some black people, but we would still have the same power until we organize on that level to do that. And you'll see what I mean as I go forward in this presentation. So I want to be clear, I'm not anti-black businesses. We need them, and I most definitely promote them. I'm saying that's not the end all. For those who may not be clear, our ultimate objective has to be African sovereignty. Anything short of African sovereignty, you know what I'm saying, is just a waiting stage, man, to be re-enslaved. Anything short of that, you know. Marcus Garvey says this: no race is free until it has a strong nation of its own system of government, and its own order of society. Never give up this idea. Let no one persuade you against it. It is the only protection for your generation and your race. Hold on to the idea of an independent government and nation as long as other men have them. That's the point that I'm making. See, even Garvey understood this. And this is from Message to the People, page 34. Even Garvey understood it, right? We have to push towards nationhood, African sovereignty. We have to. Marcus Garvey, the highest expression of this independence is in the sovereignty of a nation. Message to the People, page 36. Now, this is my working definition of African sovereignty. African sovereignty is deeper than this definition, but I did want to provide something that people can have to work with. So African sovereignty translates into African power. It is the capacity to exercise authentic self-governance, the ability to architect and defend one's own social, economic, and political reality, and live according to one's own cultural norms. It's much deeper than what I wrote here, but I wanted to put something together to at least start that talk, to think about it. But this, in a nutshell, in a very condensed way, represents what we're talking about when we're saying we want to be sovereign. We're saying we want to construct how we're going to live. So that's the reason why I put the word, architect. And I say authentic self-governance, saying that we want African people who understand the African and got a love for Africa to be in governance. To defend, our social reality, our economic reality, our political reality. We got to be able to defend that, so therefore you need a military. 1 billion black businesses is not going to be able to defend those billion black businesses. We need a military. And live according to our own cultural norms. So within your culture is where you find your spirituality at. So we need to be able to express our own spirituality. You know what I'm saying? Not to feel like we have to adapt to and adopt other people's religions, because they don't have spirituality. We need our own. So this is the type of sovereignty that we are talking about, and this is what we are moving towards, and this is what we are fighting for. So this is the reason why you have events such as this. This is the reason why you have rallies or protests. This is the reason why you do the freedom schools. You know what I'm saying? The food drive, the clothing drive. You know what I'm saying? The independent garden and stuff like that. You're doing all of that because all of those are nothing but little tactics along the strategy that's going to get us down here to African sovereignty. If we just stop at just doing neighborhood gardens, we think that's enough. That's not enough. We got to keep it moving. Garvey. This is from the Declaration of Rights of the Negro Peoples of the World. This is what Garvey gave us. Article 39, that the colors red, black, and green be the colors of the Negro race. So this right here, this flag, this is a national flag. So we say, some say the Pan-Africanist flag, whatever. This flag represents us as a national group of people, as a government. So when we set ourselves up as a government that's a sovereign nation recognized in the world, this is the flag we're going to fly right here. This is the flag your child should be pledging his or her allegiance to. Not that red, white, and blue flag with those stars. Every black home should possess this flag. Every black home should have this flag. If you're black, you should have this flag. I love it. That's like, I see that. You know, we gotta rock the flag. You know, it's ours. Why race first? So this question come up a lot. So this is what I say. Anything other than race first facilitates race murder. The social, economic, political, cultural, and spiritual demise of the black race, African people. Race first is logical. It's natural. It's represented throughout nature. In fact, all other racial groups place the well-being of their race first, even at the expense of other racial groups. So when I say it's natural, think about nature. You'll never see the lions and the hyenas hanging out together. You're never going to see that. You're going to see the hyenas with the hyenas, the lions with the lions, the jaguar with the jaguar. You're not going to see the roaches and the ants hanging out together. And if the roach is not on point, the ants will hunt the roaches. I've seen about 10 ants dragging a roach before, right? So when you look into the world, the real world, you'll notice that everything tends to band together and stay together. Think about themselves. The Japanese are for the Japanese. The Chinese are for the Chinese. I'll give you an example. A relatively new example. When this thing, COVID-19, came about, initially, everyone said it originated somewhere in China. That's what they were saying. It was in China. But at some point, the Chinese flipped the script and began to say it came from the Africans and began to mistreat African people inside China. No one came to the defense of Africans. You know, the Chinese were allowed to do what they did. The Chinese put the Chinese first at our expense. You know, we have to identify with Africa and African people. We have to understand that we are an African people within the diaspora. Anything that happens to one African happens to all of us. And any pain suffered by one is pain suffered by all. Right? We should never be okay. We should never be able to smile after hearing about something devastating happening to any African person. We should always be able to take a moment, you know what I'm saying, to breathe and grieve and hurt in solidarity with our brother or our sister, and then get back to the business of moving for African sovereignty. But that's the reason why I race first. This is another reason why I race first. Look at those faces. I'm quite sure some of you recognize these faces. You got Sean Bell, Emmett Till, Rodney King, Fred Hampton, Tamir Rice, Philando Castile. You got Raquel Board, Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, Trayvon Martin, Sandra Bland, Amadou Diallo, and Michael Brown, right? I put all those faces there for a reason. And what I want to get across is this. Everything that happened to each and every one of them happened to them because white people were white and not because these brothers and sisters were black. See, nothing negative or bad happens to you because you're black. It happened because they are white. And the destruction of these brothers and sisters was a race-first agenda pushed by white people. This was a race-first agenda being pushed by white people. From their perspective, it's in their best interest to destroy black people to preserve their existence. So we got all these brothers and sisters that we got to mourn every year, that we got to think about every year, names that we got to keep on calling because white people put their race first and destroyed our brothers and sisters. Well, damn, when are we going to put our own damn selves first, man, and start destroying those that's in our way? Come on now. Put your petty beefs to the side. Because We are being hunted. They're not going to stop hunting me because you upset at me. They're not going to stop hunting you because you didn't like my presentation. They're going to hunt you and me. They can give a damn whether you and I are on the same page. And we better wake up. It's time to wake up. Look at them faces. Tamir Rice was a young brother, man. Do you know how many generations they destroyed by killing him? Come on now, let's get it together, black man and black woman. It's race first. We need to be able to yell and call it and stand on it. Don't apologize for it. Don't be afraid to represent the best of being black. Be black. And love it. Marcus Garvey, races and peoples are only safeguarded when they are strong enough to protect themselves. And that is why we appeal to the 400 million Negroes of the world to come together for self-protection and self-preservation. We do not want what belongs to the great white race or yellow race. We want only those things that belong to the black race. Africa is ours. Weak people cannot enforce their will, nor can weak people protect themselves from others imposing their will upon you. And our strength lies in us coming together. Race first. Race first is at the core of black nationalism. Marcus Garvey. Everything must contribute toward the final objective of having a powerful nation for the Negro race. Negro nationalism is necessary. It is political power and control. Message to the people, page 33. He says Negro nationalism, because during his time period, we wasn't saying black to that degree, so he said Negro. But we're going to transfer it out, interchange it out. Black nationalism, that's what we're going to call it, because that's what it is. That's what he's talking about. But at the core of nationalism is racial identity. It's racial identity and racial loyalty. That's at the core of what it means to be a nationalist. So let's look at some race men of the 1800s. So black nationalism, a working definition. An active awareness of national identity exemplified by a love of and an unflinching devotion to one's race, executed by an open display of loyalty to its honor, glaring dedication to its advancement, uncompromising commitment to its survival, and unwavering determination to usher in nationhood, sovereignty. Now that's a pretty bold definition, because you got to do some things. In order to do this right here, you're going to sustain a lot of blows. A lot of those blows going to come from people that look just like you. You're going to be betrayed. People going to call you names. People going to make up stories about you. People going to say you did something you didn't do, right? To be for us is to be prepared to be disliked by a lot of individuals. You can't be a person who want to be liked to be in this line of work. You got to be somebody that's committed only to us and not committed to an individual's perspective of you. So black nationalism is central to the work that we do. And race first is at the core of nationalism. Look at these race men. Martin Delany, Henry Highland Garnett, Alexander Crummell, Edward Wilmot Blighty, Henry McNeil Turner, Marcus Mosiah Garvey. Look at the years when they was born. All of them was born in the 1800s. Marcus Garvey was born last in 1887. If you really understood these men that preceded Marcus Garvey, we can better understand Garvey. So Martin Delany, born May 6, 1812, Martin Delany was the first one who said Africa for the Africans. See, Martin Delany said it in the 1800s. So the golden age of black nationalism was born in the 1800s. You know, that was our golden year. Martin Delany would say Africa for the Africans, and then actually went back to Africa and surveyed the land, applied the land in Nigeria. And he wrote that famous book. So then you got Henry Highland Garnett, another one that was powerful during this time period. Henry Highland Garnett said what? He said, make make resistance your motto. He said, make resistance your motto. That's what Henry Highland told us. You know, so we got to understand what's Alexander Crummell said the black man got a responsibility to the black man first. Henry McNeil Turner is one of the individuals who actually brought up Dr. W.E.B. Du Bois. Now I know a lot of us tend not to have, we got issues with Du Bois because of, our affinity to Garvey, but if we can get past our personal feelings and really look at the genius of Du Bois was a genius. He was a genius, man. And he contributed a whole lot, he contributed a whole lot. But Henry McNeil Turner is one of the ones who came and put the fire of blackness in Du Bois. And then we know with Marcus Garvey, 1887, the work that he done. So I call them racemen because all of them understood the necessity of moving and doing for the race and placed the race first. There was no compromising. Marcus Garvey, this is the day of racial activity, when each and every group of this great human family must exercise its own initiative and influence in its own protection. Therefore, Negroes should be more determined today than they have ever been, because the mighty forces of the world are operating against non-organized groups of peoples. We are not ambitious enough to protect their own interests. So, is not this relevant today? Read that. Is not this relevant today? And this was said, about almost 90 years ago. But it's relevant. This is the day of racial activity. All you got to do is get on your internet and start going through your Google searches. And you're going to see all the intensity throughout the world is happening. But what we got to do is this, though. We have to capitalize off this time period and utilize this energy correctly. Because with the powers that be are doing right now, they are banking that we are going to burn out and stop. So they're letting everybody, get their fuse on. They banking, we're going to stop. They banking that it's going to just burn it. The fuse is going to burn out. That's the reason why they withdrew when we set the police station on fire. They withdrew and said, burn it down, right? Because right now to them, we just having a temper tantrum. From their perspective, it's just a political temper tantrum. We'll calm down. No, this is the time. This is what George Jackson was talking about. George Jackson said the old guard failed to act when the time was right. That's what he was mad about. Go read Blood in My Eye. His critique was of the old guard. He kept on saying the time was right and they did not respond. And what I'm saying, the time is right today. The time is right. Everything got to be organized and revolving around black. We got to bring black to the forefront. Affirm black, love black, pump black, support black, buy black, promote black, advance black. That's what I'm saying we have to be doing. That's what's needed right now. Listen to what Garvey said. This is the day of racial activity. When each and every group in this great human family must exercise its own initiative and influence in its own protection. Therefore, black people should be more determined today than they have ever been, because the mighty forces of the world are operating against non-organized groups of people who are not ambitious enough to protect their own interests. We gotta be ambitious enough to protect our own interests by placing black first. That's what I'm saying. If a black man gets slaughtered in Alaska, this is the thinking. This is radical and it's bold, but just hear me. If a black man gets slaughtered by one of them in Alaska, then one of them should come up missing, then a couple of them should come up missing somewhere else as well. Simple as that, right? We gotta send, it gotta be a tit for tat. It gotta be a tit for tat. And if we're not ready for that right there, if we're not ready for that, we don't organize enough to do that right, we need to shut up and sit down. It's simple as that, right? Because nothing else is going to change what's happening to us. Nothing else. Go and read Winnie Mandela, A Part of My Soul Went With Him. She got a book out, Winnie Mandela, A Part of My Soul Went With Him. And in that book, she talked about how much she went back and forth with the white boys over there in South Africa. How she would always fight them, put her hands on them. And Mandela and, the other ANC members, they felt like it was funny. They used to laugh at her and ask, like, why are you always fighting them? And this is her response. She said, because that's the only language the white man understands. Simple as that. Since the white man breached the borders of Europe, what have he done in the world other than wage war on the world? Right? Name a people that white people came in contact with at first contact that they did not wage war upon. Name the people. Right? So we gotta understand that if we're not ready to get the business, we need to shut up, stop having events, we need to just get in line. Nothing else is going to change what's happening. Simple as that. It's time for Haru to arise, the great avenger. It's time for Haru to come, the great avenger. It's time. So let's keep it moving though. I'm trying to help us understand the need and the necessity of race first, and why I say what I say. And my advocacy is that all of us should be saying. Some general suggestions for practicing race first. And this is not all. This is just some things I wanted to put up here. Just, since it's a presentation. Always defend the honor of your race. Always date within your race. Always aspire to emulate the greatness of your race. Always demonstrate uncompromising loyalty to your race. Always look for excellence within your race. Always favor your race. Always hold your race in high regard. Always support your race. Always work to uplift your race. It's quite more that people can add on, but like I say, I wanted to put these here for the sake of the presentation, so people who may not necessarily be real clear about what I'm saying, this helps you get a little bit more clear. I'm saying in all things, put us first, right? A lot of times, man, I be on Facebook, man, and I see us, we read these European books and we get the quote in European saying we're going to be like this person and so on and so forth. I'm saying, man, that greatness is within your own race. Man, look into your own race and go in your race to find greatness to emulate. It's time for us to hold us up. That's what it's about. It's not about me. Let me be clear. I'm not saying that you can't read other works. You can. But I do believe that a person should be grounded in their own way first before we start reading a bunch of other things. I do believe that if you Black, you should understand your own history and culture before you start reading about Chinese people and European people, because everybody on the face of the earth said some things or wrote some things that sounds pretty interesting. And if you're not grounded, you can be swayed by that. You can find yourself picking these ideals up. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody that read Karl Marx, you know what I'm saying? You start picking all Marx up, you know what I'm saying? My thing is, you can read Marx, you know what I'm saying? Marx said some pretty interesting things in terms of, capitalism. No doubt he did, right? But in terms of, when he gets into, communism and stuff like that, you know what I'm saying? That's a dictatorship. If you really get into what he's talking about another white dictatorship. So throw that out the window. You want to understand anything about communalism, go in Africa, and understand what we did and how we got along and how we, did things. People want to read, all this other stuff. No, read your own stuff. And stop saying things like, Black people don't have spiritual books, so that's the reason why I read the Bible, or I read the Quran because, we don't have spiritual books. And that goes back to my first slide. We may not have a spiritual book if you're using someone else's definition and applying that definition upon us. We may not have it according to that definition. But just because we don't fit their definition is no indication that we don't have. We have volumes of spiritual maturity. Volumes. You just have to know where to go and what to look for. And stop letting other people define for you. When they talk about the great religions of the world, you see Islam, you see Judaism, and you see Christianity. You know what I'm saying? You tend to see that all the time. But that's somebody else, white person making that final conclusion. That's not a universal consensus of the world. So we have to understand that part of the work that we have to do is to release ourselves from the shackles of white concepts and definitions. You know, release ourselves from the shackles of white concepts, definitions, and labels. You know, we adhere to their definitions, labels, and concepts as if white people are God, like they have the final word on all things. I'm saying that we have to be about the business of defining for ourselves from our own unique cultural standpoint. Look at your ancestors and see what your ancestors were talking about, and then you'll understand what it is you need to be doing. Marcus Garvey insists on a campaign of race purity. That is, doing everything moral and social within the race. Close ranks against all other races. We got to do this, y'all. We have to do this. I don't know how many people came into this presentation, but you know, we need to make sure we know each other. We need to be sharing information. You know, I know a lot of us. I've been going in and out these presentations since they've been having it, and I noticed in a lot of the presentations, everybody just pretty much keep their camera off. You know, we have to break the social deficiencies. We got to break some of those habits, right? This is us. This is our space. This is Black space, right? We should want to see each other. And I'm saying, to be connected up and stuff like this, so we can get this work done. You know what I'm saying? We should want to see each other so we can get this work done, man. There's real work that needs to be done, man. See each other's faces, man. Connect up and link up, and let's close ranks. Let's find out the Black engineers amongst us. Let's find out the Black agriculturalists amongst us. Let's find out the Black scientists and the biologists and things like that, the Black neuroscientists. We have all of that. But we have to pool those resources in the right economic way and share those resources so we can know who they are. We need to know who our Black behavior therapists are. We need to know who our Black builders are. We need to know all of this stuff, right? So we can start closing the ranks. But we're not going to know this stuff, man, if we're not socializing. If we're not socializing, we're not in this work for the real reasons, man, to be in this work, man. We ain't gonna move the way we need to move. We gotta socialize. We have to communicate. We must communicate. The time is now to prioritize around the protection, preservation, advancement, and sovereignty of the Black race by prioritizing race. We must elevate race to make it central to our cause. For the dynamic of race is vital to sovereignty, Black power. Thus, organizing and mobilizing Black people around the dynamic of race will prove to be of great benefit. So I'm saying that in all of going forward, all of our events, our gatherings, we should keep race a part of it. We say we came together for Garvey. Dr. Tony Martin did the research. He did the study. His conclusions were Garvey had a race-first movement. We love Garvey. We coming in the likes of Garvey. Let's do what Garvey did. Let's put race back in the center and at the forefront. That's my ask of us. Those of you who are here, those of you who are organized, that's going to do something in the near future. Put Black on the agenda. Make a segment for Black. You know, if you got to link up with me and bring me in, I don't got a problem with doing this again. You know, to talk about Black. But let's do this, y'all. Let's stop playing games. So that was the end of that presentation. This is an event that's happening here in Baltimore City, a Race First rally, August 16th, which is tomorrow. The rally starts at 2 p.m. However, we will be meeting at 1 p.m. at the Henry Highland Garnett Park. At that time, we're going to be organizing and just mobilizing ourselves and channeling the energy of the ancestors. Getting ourselves together, bringing more people together, getting the community together, and then we're going to walk west on Lafayette Avenue. It's about a 13-minute walk, and we're going to end on Lafayette Square Park, and where the rally itself will begin. So if you're able to make it out, come out, be a part of this, support it. If you can't make it out, just share the flyer off of Facebook. Talk about it. Encourage others to talk about it. If you know some people that's nearby that may not know about it, reach out to them and tell them, go be a part of it. And yes, we will be requiring people to wear a mask. We're gonna do all of that for those who may be wondering. We're gonna have the mask. But tomorrow, Race First Rally, Baltimore City. I'd love to see all of you there. This is my information, how you can get in contact with me. Instagram, Imhotep Fatiu. Facebook, Baba Imhotep. Cash App, if you want to just throw me a love donation out anytime for the work that I do, is always available. Organizational website, www.plm95.org. And these are 3 of my books. I have 4 books out, but the 4th book, African Manhood in the 21st Century, I only have like 2 copies left, and then that book is going to be out of print for a while. But these other 3 books are in print, and you can always purchase them from me directly. You can inbox me, or you can purchase from Amazon. I always encourage people to get it from me directly. But if you want to go through Amazon, if you feel more safe or comfortable, I'm okay with that as well. But these are my books right here. So check me out. Hit me up. So that's the end of that. I think we got about 30 minutes left on my time slot. And I really wanted to leave some time to get into the discussion, because I believe that there's nothing like dialogical discourse, because the building blocks to life is vibrations. Everything that exists by way of vibration. So therefore, I know that oscillation back and forth is necessary to growth and development. So yes, it's 30 minutes I got. I'm gonna say we have. So if you have any questions about anything that I spoke about, or if you have any questions about anything, okay, I'll correct that IG if it is private. I'll get into that. Thank you. But any questions, anyone, you can put forth your questions, I believe.
Peace of Black Power, Baba. I do have a question. Do you have any steps for what one would do to begin some grassroots organizing with a race first platform? Because I find that to be very difficult.
So let me ask this question. So the beginning stage, will the organizers be new to everything altogether, or they already kind of seasoned a little bit?
With the exception of myself, I don't think anybody else is really seasoned.
This is what I would suggest.
Okay.
I'm gonna tell you why I would say that. I believe that history is this is an equation that I use, and you can write this down because it's very important. It says history informs the past. History informs the past. It clarifies the present, and it illuminates the future.
Okay.
Right? That's serious. So Marcus Garvey made this statement. He said one should read history incessantly, meaning always. And then we know that Malcolm X said that history is best qualified to reward all research. And so in my 27 years of doing this work, what I realized is that history is extremely important, right? It's more important than anything else that we do, because everything else that we do is rooted in history. So I would say the beginning stages, start some type of study class, a study group.
Okay.
Some type of study group, right? And it's a book, hold on. This little book right here. It's by John Henry Clark.
I love that book. I love that book. That was one of the first books my daughter read when we came into this walk, because it was very easy for her to read it like 11. So it makes it plain. You know, I have that book in my collection. Absolutely.
So this would be a good book to start new people with.
Okay.
Start them right here with African people in world history, and then move them to John Henry Clark's book, Christopher Columbus and the African Holocaust. Okay. Right? Okay. Because what you can do with that book there, you can show how white people prioritize their own race. Mm-hmm. So this book right here, give them some grounding about themselves a little bit, and then go into that other book, right? And it's more history in that book, but it also lets you use it and show how white people were prioritizing on white, and showing that they are pushing a race first agenda. We need a race first agenda. You know what I'm saying? And then when you come out of those 2 books there, the next book I would say, normally in my class, I move people into this W.E.B. Du Bois book, but I'm gonna skip it because it requires a little studying. But the other one would be moving to this 3rd book right here.
Okay, I have that one too. Okay.
So if you start with the two John Henry Clarks and then move them to this third book, African Glory, right? Those three books together, if we studying it together and reading through it together and talking about race, it's going to help to kind of construct them. But after you do those three books, if you stay in contact with me, I can pretty much suggest other material to keep moving the group along.
Okay.
I've been doing a study class in Baltimore since 2007.
Okay, well, I appreciate it. Yeah, well, I'm friends with you on Facebook, so I'll certainly be in touch. Thank you.
So I would say most definitely start there with the study piece because in order for us to be in true solidarity, we need ideological clarity.
Right.
So see, ideological clarity is what lends to ideological solidarity. If you and I are not in solidarity in thinking, we're not going to behave in solidarity. See, behavior follows thought. It's not the other way around. Behavior follows thought. Okay. So if you got 15 people, you got 50 people, right? And all of us think about this situation differently, it's going to be chaotic. So you got to go back to the basics, right? Make sure I can get people on the same page from a basic ideological standpoint. Mm-hmm. Begin to produce some type of ideological clarity that can lead to ideological solidarity that can begin to manifest in solidarity. And then once you begin to see it manifesting in solidarity on a grassroots level, I would say to give people a feel for it, I would say do walkthroughs, right? Do walkthroughs and let people see how it is to be out on the ground. Because it's one thing to be behind closed doors or to be behind these screens and having conversations, but it's another thing to be out there walking around. Get a walkthrough, right? And then come back and do a debrief. And the debrief is this. Ask everybody, what did you notice? What did you see? You know what I'm saying? And see what everybody see. You know what I'm saying? You also be observant, see what you see. And watch how many of y'all see so many different things.
Okay.
And the reason y'all going to see so many different things because your ideologies are already different. So we're going to see ideology becomes our laser. That's how we look at our worldview. Right? Yeah. So I'll give you an example. Like people talk about Baltimore. I'm from Baltimore. They say Baltimore. Is Baltimore really violent? And you know my question? I said, let me ask you a question. Are you asking me a question about Baltimore in isolation or Baltimore in the context of the USA? Because it depends on that. See, I look at Baltimore in the context of the United States of America, right? So what's in Baltimore is a reflection of the USA. I don't take Baltimore out of their context. That's because of my ideology. You see what I'm saying? My clarity. I'm gonna see it that way. And so when I present that to people, they be like, wow, I never thought of it like that. I say, yeah, don't assess Baltimore like it's separate from the USA. You know what I'm saying? You can only assess Baltimore in relation to the USA. Now, if the rest of the USA is peaceful and quiet and nice, then Baltimore is violent.
Right.
So that's what it comes down to. So when you get like that, you go out there and do your first walkthrough, then come back, do a debrief, see what everybody saw, then talk about that. And then say, why do all of us see so many things different? We walk the same places and I thought we saw the same phenomenon. Why was it so differently?
Okay.
Right? And that's the way you begin to move and build what you need to build.
Okay.
You're welcome. Anyone else?
Sister Trina.
BB48 Baba.
BB48.
What's going on?
I'm great, my brother.
What's happening?
I'm
good. Look, I need for you to give me the rest of that quote. Because I've heard you quote it before, and I got to give you credit on the quote. And I've been misquoting it. History clarifies the past, informs the present, and...
History informs the past, clarifies the present.
Oh, informs the past.
Clarifies the present, and illuminates the future.
Illuminates the future, okay.
Illuminates. Like.
Okay. Right.
So
history, it clarifies, history clarifies the present, okay.
Yeah, but what I'm doing is I'm moving from past, present, to future. So history informs the past, clarifies the future, and clarifies the present and illuminates the future.
Okay. Illumination.
Yeah. Because it's like this.
Okay.
The clearer you are, the clearer one is about history, the further you can look farther in the future. History makes that possible. And that's the reason why Garvey said what he said. He said, read history incessantly. And that's the one thing we don't study enough is our history. You know what I'm saying? We have to continually study our history, even while we're doing the work. Right? We got to read history.
Gotcha.
All right. Glad I could be able to assist us. Any more questions, statements, comments?
Mr. Trina.
Yeah, I look forward. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow.
No doubt. Me too. Yes,
Great
sir.
first round. Yes, sir. B40.
Sister Trina, we can start that here in Tampa.
We're here in Tampa. Right, that is Brother Sundiata, you know, and family. You know that's what the aim is. That's what I'm gonna do. So we're gonna put some boots on the ground. Got a couple of people, got some solid brothers. I got me a set of Benjis. I got me a set of twins that's all fire. So they're young and they're ready. So they like, sis, what you doing? So
that's what's up.
They got my Ile, and so you know, you get that African spirituality rolling with political work, and some magic gonna happen in the Bay Area. So I'm looking forward to it.
Keep me in the loop.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Anyone else?
Baba Fatiu.
Yes.
Although your Instagram is private, I still put in a request. But I want to thank you for providing us and sharing your personal story. I just had my older son finish From Superman to Man by J.A. Rogers. So you kind of getting us on the track, the right track. Yeah. So thank you. Give thanks. Adupe. Asante Sana.
Yeah, that was my from Superman to Man was my first book. That started it all, 1990, the end of 1992, and I haven't looked back since. So.
And I've been sharing your interview you did, I think, 2 weeks ago on Do the Knowledge Radio.
Yes.
And that internet connection was intermittent, but when it went out on the other end, it took off. I'm saying, like, that is a classic. They need to put it in a DVD or something. I think it's like 2 hours.
Yeah, it is.
Right, and I was there for every second. Like, Baba, you
Sister Tria.
You brought the fire. Sister Tria, where you from?
I'm from Cleveland, but I'm down here with you.
Oh, you in Tampa?
I'm in the bottom. Nah, Broward.
Broward. Oh, Florida's Florida. All right. All right.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
Oh, we got to really connect now.
I got to know who that sister is. I'm glad we got the opportunity right now. I was like, we're going to do some things. I like your mama. Yeah, we're going to do some things.
We got to connect. Yeah, we got to stay. That's what it's about. You know?
Are you on Facebook? I mean, I'm Sister Tria on Facebook for anybody. If we're not friends on Facebook, I'm Sister Tria just like that on Facebook.
Sister Tria. So I look you up. I don't really do social media, but I do it for the people. So whenever anybody has anything, I'm promoting if it's right with my spirit. Like, so I'm here because this is right.
Right.
Right. So, yeah. Most definitely we can connect.
Real quick. Sister Tria, you in Broward County?
No, right.
You in Broward?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You're in Broward. Okay. My father lives in Suwannee County. He lives in McAlpin, and he's a E5 priest. And I come down that way often. So yeah, that's cool. That's good to know that I got family.
So he near Alachua.
Yeah. We and Brother Sundiata, me, Brother Alias, we out of Tampa, and you said
right, because I got family in Tallahassee.
Okay,
I got a big time this big E5 community in Tallahassee. So
yeah, it was a real.
I'm down there all the time.
They you know that's all that same link. My Iya is out of Oyatunji, so all the female family here in Tampa. So that's the Ile I attend.
Yeah, my father's got 54 years in, and he's one of the oldest living priests in tradition today. So, you know, it's good to know I got family down that way. I just want to make that comment because, you know, the more family got in Tampa and Tallahassee, it's all the better.
Ashe.
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 So I'm gonna jump out here with this question. Am I to assume that the minimal questions is because I did a great job, or the minimal questions because I did a poor job?
You did an excellent job.
You did an excellent job. That's why the minimal questions. It was an excellent presentation as always.
Hey, Bob, I don't know of a clear individual, man, and concise individual who speaks than you. So, you know what it is. You do an excellent job.
I mean, it's very clear. Race first. I mean, there's nothing else to say.
Race
Hello?
first.
Yes.
Race first.
Hello, I have a question.
Yes.
Okay, thank you for your presentation. I really enjoyed it. I wanted to ask, what is your view of the Black Panthers and their defense of Black nationalism and their efforts, for example, in establishing medical clinics, free ambulance services for Black Americans, etc.?
So,
and also, of course, the school lunches that have become nationalized now. What is your view of the Black Panthers and their efforts?
no, it's interesting you says that, you asked that question. I believe this. I'm going to answer your question. I'm going to put a little backdrop to it, but I will answer your question. So one of the things about African people in our societies, traditional societies, is that every individual literally would have to come up under somebody. We didn't just walk into life and do our own thing. So for the lack of a better word, you could say, you know, in addition to the rites of passage, you could say people were part of like what is known as an apprenticeship, right? So, and you always had what is known as individuals who would guide you. So when I came along and I began to wake up and get into the knowledge, so there's basically like 4 individuals that I pretty much patterned myself after until I found my own self. So before I found Baba Imhotep, I patterned myself in terms of my study, Marcus Garvey, Huey P. Newton, Malcolm X, and George Jackson. It's those 4 men. So I'm saying that to say, like, everything about the Panthers, you know, I love the Panthers. They were on point, and they understood the necessity of meeting the people's needs. Now, we'll say this right here. Anytime you're looking at history, you have to be clear about things as we see it. So I don't believe that none of our ancestors were infallible, but I don't hold any mistake against any of them. Right? I think our ancestors were the greatest. I think Huey P. Newton is most definitely Dr. Huey P. Newton. You know what I'm saying? I do believe that too much Marxism and communism at a certain point became dominant rhetoric for Dr. Huey P. Newton. I don't subscribe to all of that. I don't subscribe to all that, you know, all the communism, all that. I don't subscribe to that. You know what I'm saying? In terms of the basis of the Panthers, their nationalism, their defense for Black people, I love everything about that. In terms of, you know, doing the school, doing the medical, going out there, making sure we get the stop signs or the lights put up. Those are the things that we have to do, because resources in this land doesn't come into our communities a lot of time, because a lot of us don't know how to go out there and fight for those resources. So a lot of people just go ahead and bypass our communities. So to answer your question, I'm a fan of the Panthers and I support the Panthers. And all that they did when, you know, they was coming up. Fred Hampton, Bobby Huttons, you know what I'm saying, John Huggins, Bunchy Carter, you name it. You know, the New York branch, you know what I'm saying, Matulu, all of them, you know what I'm saying, Afeni, Asada. I love everything about them. They was doing the work. So the Panthers on point. And granted, they may not necessarily use the terminology race first as I'm using it, but at the core and at the base, when they began, they was race first.
Yes. Because one thing we must understand that this is an occupation on this North American land.
Yes, no doubt. you know. And I'm gonna tell you,
also too.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying also too, we can't forget about the fact that they had the more militarized wing of the Panther Party and the BLA, you know, the Black Liberation Army, you know, which Mama Asada, you know, was a part of, you know, as well as Baba Mutulu, you know, that more militarized wing of the Panther Party. So definitely, when you look at them, you know, I got a lot of love and respect for them as well in my research and studies.
Oh, I love that BLA, the BLA. We needed that, and we still need it.
You're correct.
I share.
One of the things that tends to weaken our movements is the need to organize better. And I think what happens is that, I'll give an example. So when I was incarcerated, I went to prison 1991. I stayed in prison 13 years and 9 months. But one of the phenomenons I noticed in prison is that almost all of the white boys that were in prison, somehow they were able always to get some type of protection from some black people. And what I noticed is that because these white boys' parents had the means to send them money to make commissary, the white boys were able to sprinkle their little trinkets to get people to kind of say, well, no, don't do that to him, you know, kind of protect them. And that phenomenon still happens with us. That's the reason why a lot of us be saying stuff like, well, I'll organize, I'll work with anybody, right? We saying things like that because we're trying to make an entryway for white people to come into what we're doing. Because of the resource that white people have access to a lot of times, you know, we want to bring them on the inside. Now, I'm not saying that if a person is organized and you got access to a body of funds that you can get and use for all black people, I'm not saying you shouldn't do that. Go and do that. I'm saying we start bringing white people in your organization, saying these white people are members of your organization, and giving these white people positions in your organization. That's problematic. That's problematic, right? PLM, a white person can't be a part of PLM at all. You know what I'm saying? You can't. There is no way that you can be a member in my organization. There's nothing that you can do. Now, and even if one of us get crazy in our minds and marry a white person, then you and her gotta go. You know what I'm saying? She ain't getting in because you married. You know, and you ain't gonna tell me the bull crap about, well, you know, some of our best Pan-Africans had white wives. I'm aware of that, you know what I'm saying? But we in 2020. You know what I'm saying? Everything must evolve. So we evolving on Pan-Africanism, you know what I'm saying? So I'm aware of who had what. You know what I'm saying? I know Sylvester Williams had a white woman. I'm clear on that. But we're not gonna use historical mistakes to justify the perpetuation of mistakes. We won't do that on my watch. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna use historical mistakes as what they need to be used for. That was a mistake. We cannot do that again.
And that's what happened, like say when Rosewood, Tulsa, Oklahoma, we didn't have enough military, our own military, our self-defense. That tore down our economic wealth building, because you had I guess other countries wanted to do business with Greenville, Tulsa, Oklahoma, wanted to do major business because they was making that much of wealth. So we always have to understand we got to have our self-protection, put it that way.
Now, you're correct, 100% correct. You only protect things. You only think about protection two ways, two reasons to think about protection. You think about protection when you acknowledge the fact that you're not in a safe place. And you think about protection when you realize the value of what you have.
Right.
So what happened to us a lot of times is because we don't consistently push race first to keep the lines drawn between us and white people. When we get a little bit, we think we're at a safe place. So we gotta forever recognize that we're not safe in this land amongst these people, regardless of what we have, because that keeps us on guard. That'll keep us vigilant. That'll keep us building military, right?
That's right.
And then we gotta push black so much that we learn to value black.
That's right.
So once we learn to value black and we realize that we're not in a safe place, we're going to understand the necessity of building military.
That's correct.
So that's what's going on with us. And that's what I'm trying to do, what this resurgence of saying race first, right? I'm trying to get us to just re-centralize race, black. Simple as that. Hold a black woman up, you know what I'm saying? Marry a black woman, marry a black man, hold them up, you know what I'm saying? Don't get into the poor white logic. Well, love don't have a color, and well, that ain't my business. No, if a black man marry a white woman, that is your business. We gotta stop saying that. If a black woman marry a white man, that is your business. Stop saying, well, that ain't my business. You know, I ain't got nothing to do with that over there. I'm okay. And that's the white logic that we use. They keep us so divided. You know, man, them Europeans would destroy Europeans if they thought or believed the European was attempting to help a black person during the times of Jim Crow and all that. They came and got the Europeans too.
That's right. That's right.
You know, so they understood, like, hold on, man, it's us and them. We got to understand it that way. So don't say stuff like that. If you see that, man, say it. You're cousin with a white person, don't be like, well, I don't want to cause no problem.
And that us and them, what they was talking about, they stealing your wealth. They're stealing your land.
That's done.
This thing is real serious.
Yes. And we got to keep it going.
So that's where I'm at. Agree with you 100%.
And we got
100%.
And we got to keep it going. We just got to stay focused. I think I got about, like 3 minutes left. I got about three minutes or 4 minutes.
Yeah, about 4 minutes, Baba.
All right, 4 minutes. All right, just keep me clocked in. So I can, I want to honor the time. I want to honor the time. But let's build. Another thing too, what I've learned a long time ago in doing this work is what's going to help us to be better organized, like organization, unity. We talk about unity and we talk about it in a very abstract way. Right? Unity is a science. And unity isn't just going to happen because we said we should be unified. Look at how much destruction have happened to us in this land. We haven't unified the way we need to be unified yet, right? Because it's deeper than that. It's deeper. It's unity is a science. And that science is forged when people are better socialized. So we have to be able to become more socialized. And we have to focus on being socialized. And our socialization has to be centered around our blackness. But in order for us to be socialized the way we need to be socialized, we're going to all have to do a lot of internal work because we're going to have to build up the courage, you know what I'm saying, to trust each other on some basic levels. We're going to have to give each other an opportunity to show up. We just can't say well, people are fickle, I don't trust people, I don't like people, and keep on saying we need to be unified. No, we're going to have to make some serious efforts towards being unified. And it's not going to happen because we said we need to be unified. Unity is forged. Trust me when I tell you that. Unity is forged. It's forged. It requires struggle. It requires us to go back and forth to be in disagreements, but to be okay with being in disagreements. So that's the reason why we have to be a little bit evolved psychologically and emotionally, so we can handle the disagreements. Because what we typically does is this. If I disagree with your view, you think I'm against you. So you walk away mad at me because I disagree with your view. That's childlike. That's what children do. So that's why we got to do some more work. And this thing that I've been working on for about 5 years, I'll be releasing it pretty soon. It's called the multi-self-development model. I'm working on this thing that focuses on how to develop us from a multi-self perspective. It's the reverse of what we define as being holistic development. See, holistic development understands the whole self, and it focuses on the whole self. What I want to do with multi-self development is to break the self down into 5 selves and look at each individual self and develop each part by itself. So I'm saying that the self is composed of 5 selves. I said there's a physical self, a social self, a mental self, a psychological self, and a spiritual self. Each one of those selves does not develop simultaneously. Each one of those selves require individual attention to develop each one of those selves. So where you at socially is not always where you at intellectually. And where you at intellectually is not always where you at emotionally. And where you at emotionally, which is the psychological self, it's not always where you at psychologically. or spiritually. And that's the problem with us. That's why when you bring all of us together in close proximity, a lot of the crap that we picked up in this land, it starts to clash. And we fall apart. We fall right apart. You know what I'm saying? So what I'm saying is that we need a model that focuses on Sister Tria. So I'm gonna use this as an example. So my model would take Sister Tria and pull her apart and look at each one of her selves. And I would see where she's at psychologically and where she's at spiritually. If it's balanced and good. But if she's socially a dwarf, we need work in her social development. Got to get you up to speed socially development. If you're a physical dwarf, we got to get you into exercising. If your cognition and your intellect is under your age, we have to work on building you up in your mental. So multi-self-development, look forward, it's coming soon. I'll be working it out there, trying to get us right, man. You know, I'm taking all these years to figure out the solutions to us. You know, that's my time spent on trying to find the solutions. You know, we in some mess. So unity is forged. Make no mistake about that. We must be able to disagree. We must be able to be mad at each other. We must be able to even shout every now and then at each other without being disrespectful. You know what I'm saying? To get to that place of unity. We have to. You know? Ask a man and a woman that have been married for 20 years, was it an easy walk in the park? But watch how strong their love is, though. But ask them how much struggle did it take to get to that? The same struggle that goes into putting two men together, I mean a man and a woman together. I know, I correct myself. To put a man and a woman together, it's the same amount of struggle we're going to need to put our people together. So just, you know, I'm going to stay in sync with the time. So by my clock, it says 5:30, and I believe that is my time. I enjoyed this time with y'all. Hopefully I said something, man, that, you know.
Meeting you.
BB
Great meeting you. Great meeting you.
It was wonderful.
I got you on
Hey,
Facebook.
Baba, thank you so much.
I appreciate it. You know?
Yes,
Appreciate it.
Hey, great meeting everybody. Everybody.
Yes.
Everybody.
Let's not stop here, y'all. Let's keep it going here. Race first.
In a whirlwind.
Let's go.
100 miles a run.
Like power.
The BB to me.
I think that's it. Yeah, we got to meet all those in Florida.
All right now. Well, all y'all up there, I gotta come up there to y'all.
Yeah, well, there's three of us. Us, Trina, and Elios. We're all here in Tampa.
All right, good. I know I got somewhere to stay.
Okay.
That's right.
Say.
Doc Shotgun. Buck front. Yeah. Shot. Intro to O. Yeah. And my dude that Timbuktu to Ave. For new, renew your passion. Shun the condition. And not the who, what, when, where, and you are from. At last. Put the higher